The Pendulum of the Mind, Carl Jung's insight into human behavior. Carl Gustav Jung's assertion that the pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong, offers a profound lens through which to examine human behavior. Unlike moral frameworks that categorize actions as right or wrong, Jung's metaphor emphasizes the dynamic interplay between rationality and irrationality, order and chaos. This oscillation shapes our thoughts, decisions, and interactions, revealing the complexity of the human psyche. By exploring this duality, we uncover how behavior is less about moral absolutism and more about the fluid dance between coherence and absurdity. Jung distinguishes sense as the realm of logic, structure, and conscious reasoning, the mind's attempt to impose order on experience. It aligns with societal norms, scientific inquiry, and goal-directed behavior. Nonsense, conversely, encompasses the irrational, emotional, and unconscious forces that defy straightforward explanation. This includes dreams, fantasies, instincts, and the shadow aspects of the self that society often deems unacceptable. Human behavior cannot be reduced to binary judgments of right or wrong, because individuals are perpetually navigating these two poles. For instance, a person may rationally plan a career path, sense, but later abandon it due to an inexplicable urge for creative fulfillment, nonsense. Such contradictions are not failures of morality but reflections of the mind's inherent complexity. Jungian psychology posits that the unconscious mind, a reservoir of repressed desires, archetypes, and primal instincts, profoundly influences behavior. The shadow, representing traits we disown, often manifests in seemingly nonsensical actions. A rigidly disciplined individual might suddenly indulge in reckless behavior, not because it is wrong, but because the unconscious seeks balance. Consider the phenomenon of projection. A person who condemns others for greed might be repressing their own avarice. This irrational transfer of traits, nonsense, is a defense mechanism to preserve self-image, sense. Similarly, dreams, a blend of fragmented symbols, reveal how the mind processes unresolved conflicts beyond conscious logic. Modern cognitive science echoes Jung's view. Humans pride themselves on rationality, yet biases like confirmation bias, favoring information that aligns with beliefs, or the availability heuristic, overestimating vivid examples, skew decisions. These mental shortcuts, while evolutionarily adaptive, often lead to irrational conclusions. For example, fear of flying despite statistical safety, nonsense, overrides logical risk assessment, sense. Even in groups, behaviors like groupthink illustrate how collective rationality can devolve into irrational conformity. The 2008 financial crisis, driven by irrational exuberance in housing markets, exemplifies how entire societies oscillate between sense, economic models, and nonsense, speculative bubbles. Paradoxically, nonsense fuels creativity. The aha moment in innovation often arises when the mind relaxes its grip on logic. Artists, scientists, and entrepreneurs tap into daydreams, intuition, or absurd ideas to break conventional patterns. Einstein's theory of relativity emerged not from pure logic but from imagining riding a light beam, a whimsical, almost nonsensical thought experiment. Similarly, surrealist art, like Dali's melting clocks, derives power from defying literal interpretation. Here, nonsense becomes a gateway to novel perspectives. Emotions, though often labeled irrational, are essential to decision-making. Antonio Damasio's research shows that individuals with impaired emotional faculties struggle with basic choices, despite intact logic. A parent's overwhelming love, nonsense, might compel them to work multiple jobs, sense, blending irrational devotion with pragmatic action. Conversely, grief can paralyze even the most rational mind, revealing how emotion disrupts order. In relationships, conflicts frequently arise from this tension. A partner's logical complaint, "You're never home," may clash with their unconscious need for reassurance, nonsense, requiring empathy rather than debate. Jung warned that fixating on either pole leads to dysfunction. Excessive rigidity, overvaluing sense, results in repression, anxiety, or perfectionism. A workaholic ignoring personal needs exemplifies this. Conversely, surrendering to chaos, nonsense, breeds impulsivity or dissociation, as seen in addiction or manic episodes. Therapy, particularly Jungian analysis, seeks to integrate these extremes. By exploring dreams, fantasies, and the shadow, individuals reconcile their contradictions, achieving individuation, the harmonization of conscious and unconscious. A person who acknowledges their irrational anger, for instance, might channel it constructively rather than suppress it. Societies too swing between sense and nonsense. Moral panics, like witch hunts or McCarthyism, reflect collective irrationality where fear overrides evidence. Conversely, movements grounded in reason such as civil rights advocacy challenge entrenched prejudices. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted this duality. Some embrace scientific guidance, sense, while others succumb to conspiracy theories, nonsense. Both responses stem from the mind's pendulum, not inherent goodness or evil. Jung's insight invites acceptance of human complexity. Labeling behaviors as right or wrong oversimplifies. Understanding their roots in sense-nonsense dynamics fosters compassion. A teenager's rebellious phase, for example, may blend logical quest for autonomy with irrational defiance. Recognizing this interplay helps caregivers guide rather than punish. Similarly, leaders who balance data-driven strategies, sense, with visionary risk-taking, nonsense, often drive innovation. Steve Jobs' blend of technical precision and intuitive design philosophy epitomizes this synergy. The dance of the psyche. Jung's pendulum metaphor transcends moral judgment, offering a richer narrative of human behavior. Our actions emerge from an ever-shifting dialogue between the need for order and the pull of the unknown. By embracing both sense and nonsense, we acknowledge the full spectrum of our humanity, logical yet imaginative, disciplined yet spontaneous. In this dance lies the path to self-awareness, creativity, and resilience. As Jung reminds us, the goal is not to stop the pendulum but to understand its rhythm.